Greetings, OV fam. Happy New Year, guys. I hope mlivuka mwaka vizuri. I hope hatukuacha 2023. I know you have been waiting for episode 10, but this is not it. I'm on a short break to resume probably February or March, but I felt the need to come out of this break just to discuss and address and to rant about something briefly kidogo tu. So consider this a mini episode. So today a lot of thoughts have preoccupied my mind, and I was leaving work. I was just thinking about all these women that have been killed since the year started, and they've been killed in such gruesome ways, such inhumane ways. Yani mi nashangaa sana cause watu wakona utu kweli. Do we still have the humanity side in us? Like looking at the news every time you log in, a woman has been killed. A woman's head has been chopped off. A woman has been so and so. A woman has hadi sangapi, hadi lini. So I will just reiterate what everyone is saying. Stop killing women. Stop killing women. And I was just trying to think. Ndio mtu awe mtu in such terrible and gruesome ways, are they mentally okay? So when we were having this conversation somewhere, somebody said right now in the country there is a lot of pressure, there's a lot of stress, and people haven't experienced this much stress in a while. Story economy, the high prices of living. And I was like, there's a very big possibility that the mental state of a lot of Kenyans, like hatuko sawa. But you know, the percentages vary as well. How different people handle stressful situations, totally different. Our brains are totally different. So it got me to the point where I also thought about how when you talk about therapy or psychological assistance in the company of guys or men, the natural reaction for a good number of men would be, I can't go for therapy. Heri niende nipige nduru uko msituni or something, you know those jokes. And I was like, I feel like we should encourage the men in our lives to at least once in a while seek some psychological assistance. Just some small therapy, Because I was thinking, we are saying stop killing women, and the death of these women, tragic, so tragic. But are we really going to get a solution to all this? Like, how do we start getting solutions to this problem? Like, what is the root cause of these people who are killing these women? Ndio ufike point yenye unabishana na msee, upigane na msee, hadi umuue. Like, umecross so many spectrums. Like, bishana na mtu na utoke, It doesn't have to end ugly. And if you're feeling that urge, that heat of the moment, that anger, just seek psychological assistance, please. Like, save the lives of the women around you and seek psychological assistance. According to the data I have for Ongeza Volume, the majority of my audience are women. Not by far, just a small margin. But there is still a percentage of guys who I know who will listen to this. There's a lady who's posted a video on Instagram, and she has said, whenever this conversation has been brought up, just observe how the men in your life react to these situations, their responses, what they have to say about these killings. Just be keen, be observant of these people. You will learn a lot. Sometimes I think the reason I've never really thought of being a feminist is because addressing or talking about some of these issues can be really triggering, and it makes a lot of sense. Because today I saw a comment that my sister made on a post where I see this trend of saying, I'm a Kenyan woman, I have to share my Uber ride, I'm a Kenyan woman, those common things that happen. So I watched that video. Yeah, I'm a Kenyan woman. And I was listening to it. And I'm like, some of these things we do, like so unconsciously, juu tumezoea, Because every time, like personally, my mom would say, if you're going somewhere, if you're going for a date, if you're going to meet people, if you're going to meet guys or a guy, make sure you share it with like 5 of your friends. You share the name of the person you're going to meet. You share the number of the person you're going to meet and where you guys are going to meet, or share the live location. Like, we've been doing this for the longest time since tuanze kuachiliwa twende nje, such that right now when we're having these conversations, I'm like, how did this become the norm? Like, it's become second nature hadi unasahau haifai kuwa hivo. I'm not supposed to be afraid of my safety every time I step out of the house. You get? And it also got me thinking. I'm sorry, guys. I think this minisode is just random thoughts that have been sparked from these conversations. And I was asking myself, like, how many times have you said yes to things you would have wanted to say no to just out of fear? Ukiingia kwa mat, your first response is like, how many men are inside here? Is there a lady inside? Mimi, ni mara mingi sana nimeingia kwa mat, niko na hakuna dem nikashuka. Like, heri tu ningoje mat ingine, ama ningoje nioneka kuna dem mwenye ataingia. Like, second nature. Unaangalia ratio ya madem to maboy, unatafuta yenye iko empty kando ya dem. And today I was asking myself, like why do I usually do that? Trigger warning. This episode, hata ningeweka trigger warning at the beginning. I remembered after high school, ama nikiwa high school, I don't even remember when that was. I was in a mat, and I was seated next to an old guy. I was going to meet my friend, somewhere. So this old guy ako kwa dirisha, mi nimekaa hii side ingine karibu na path. So this old guy starts sleeping, and I'm like, okay, fine, he's sleeping, so it's gonna be uncomfortable, but it's fine. So he starts even snoring, and I didn't suspect a thing. So his head starts leaning towards my shoulder, and I keep on, moving until I couldn't like move anymore. So somehow no. No. It's too triggering. I can't finish that. It's too triggering. So I also realized how conscious I am every time a man walks next to me or close to me. Either I will evade, walk further, walk faster, walk away, or stand so that the guy can like move. Because every time there's that looming feeling of a person might be following you. There's just that constant fear. I don't know if you guys usually feel it, but today I actually paid attention to those unconscious cues that are usually there, and it's like protective mechanisms. Nakumbuka nikiibiwa simu Juja, nilishikiwa kisu kwa tumbo, and it was 2 men, and they were behind us. And ever since then, anytime I feel like there's somebody like walking behind, it's so scary. It's so fucking scary, by the way. And I'm sure each and every one of us girls, we just have 1 or 2 traumatic experiences that cause you to build these walls, that cause you to react to specific situations in specific manners. Ukiwa unapanda stairs peke yako, and then you either hear someone else akiteremka stairs ama akipanda stairs, and there's no one else kwa stairs, you know that feeling. When you're dancing alone in a club, this shit is so triggering. Sai najiuliza mbona nilidecide kurekodi minisode. But anyway, I feel like these things have to be said. When you're dancing alone in a club and a guy gropes you or comes and tries to start dancing with you and you had no business, is a fucking stranger, that shit pisses me off, by the way. Really pisses me off. Mi usema naeza piga mtu. I don't know how to fight, but I think my facial expressions fight for me. If you know, you know. And then leo pia nikitembea, because I was just thinking about all this when I was walking. I remembered when I was in school again in Juja. I was walking, I think, from school to my house, and a guy on a nduthi. Okay, it's not funny, but it's funny, but it's so disturbing. A guy on a nduthi, wakipita, this guy literally just spanked my ass. Alafu unajua, you don't even know how to fucking react. Because ako kwa nduthi imeenda. And at that moment, people laugh. And some might even say, ulikuwa unafanya nini kwa barabara or something. Things that don't make actual sense. But nini mbaya na uyo mwenye, the one who did that. Like, are you okay, man? Like, I need you guys to see how fucked up these situations are and how unsafe women feel 24/7. I'm so sorry if this is triggering for you. It is also triggering for me. I'm really trying to hold myself together. And I was re-listening to episode 1, and I was listening to how jolly my voice was and how I said about figuring stuff, being a 20-plus-year-old, and that I would also talk about mental health, but I have never really actually talked about mental health. And when I was saying mental health, I wasn't talking in terms of me being a psychologist or a therapist or whatever. I leave that to my sister. I think I meant in terms of my own personal experiences in dealing with mental health. And I think I will count this minisode as part of that. But these women killings do not make sense at all. And they just need to stop. I don't want every time I log in, someone else has been killed. Another woman has been killed. It's so unnecessary. Kama unasikia kuwa mtu, seek help. Seek psychological help, guys. Anyway, in the spirit of Ongeza volume, over the last few days, I've been compiling what people have been saying about this whole situation. So I think it would be appropriate of me to just read them out. To Ongeza volume. Antoinette said, Femicide is triggering as fuck. True. Could have been any woman, your daughter, your sister, your mom, your friend, your girl, your grandma, your auntie, your great-grandmother, done by a man, sadly. If men can't stand up for women so that men can stop killing women, no amount of feminism movements can. It's not an Airbnb. It's not prostitution. It's not money. It's not a hookah problem. It's just men comfortably killing women. And if you say protect yourself or not all men, you're actually getting blocked. I loved that, Antoinette. I really loved that. I think this was Kensha's. He said, Dear women everywhere, it's important to acknowledge that many of you live in fear, true, and are worried about your safety, true. As men, we have failed in our responsibility to make you feel comfortable and at ease in our society. However, we want you to know that we still care and love you, and we are committed to doing better, Chief. That was nice. This was a rant by Nick, a very close friend of mine, and I quote, So allow me to understand something. Y'all really turning the femicide incident into a debate. Like you are on the internet trying to justify all this. Like women now have to start campaigning in order to be safe, not to be killed and any other animosity. But you and your head goes ahead to say women kill men. Fam, men kill men. And men are bottom of the barrel creatures. That majority have self-esteem issues. Money can't even make you better. Talking about, quote, women take care, like the fool you are. We should stop the victim-blaming bullshit. I'll smack anyone who pulls that not all men bullshit. Every time women address a women's issue. Like, dude, barely 1 month down and it's so dark right now. Jesus. I love how Nick is so dramatic. Another quote, I don't remember who this was from, and I quote, The problem is that a lot of men and women too believe murder is justifiable. It is hard to talk about femicide with people who believe death is a valid form of punishment for women they consider immoral. This is a worthy note to point. At this point, I think the Shori had been killed in the Airbnb. Sister ya Kanyari, Starlet Wahoo. Another person said, can we stop determining a woman's right to life based on her nuanced sexual purity or lack thereof? Why do you have a bigger problem with consensual prostitution than you do murder? Jiulize hiyo swali. Jiulize hiyo swali. A tweet by Brenda Wamboi says, Kenyan men posting that more men than women are murdered in Kenya goes to show that they have the intellectual capacity of an amoeba. Allow me to laugh. Hey. Mmembua mko na akili za amoeba. I see no lie. Number one, who is murdering those men? Overwhelmingly, it's other men. Number two, femicide is the murder of women because they are women. It's the final form of gender-based violence, GBV. Somebody else said, I'm telling you, nimekuwa nikiokota hizi vitu nikisema lazima niongeze volume one way or another. This one says, I quote, Dear men, let's have a meeting here. Imagine the girls you interact with and hit on, trust and love you because they actually believe you are trustworthy and lovable. They believe that you are who you say you are. They can't know our intentions. That's why you have female friends, sisters, and moms around you. That's why you are not in a zoo, because you have a brain that regulates you. Blaming someone for trusting a man who did not announce their intentions of killing them is the highest form of victimization and is retrogressive. Let us condemn such characters amongst us. Yes. Steve said, Dear men, tuelewane. If you are dealing with a grown-up woman who can't clearly communicate how she feels about you, just walk away. As adults, we are easily triggered and it's so easy to end up in jail. Even worse, to end the life of another person, a woman in this case. Any lady above 22 who can't clearly communicate or express herself, chorea Buddha. You'll save yourself from stress, anxiety, and possibly jail time. Get too angry once and do a thing that changes your life forever. Kama uko na anger issues, nimewaambia seek psychological assistance. Somebody else said, and I quote, being a woman should not be a death sentence. As Kenyan women, including LGBTQ+, women and girls in all our diversities, we are tired of the dehumanization that permeates our existence, the tragically normalized occurrences of femicide, and the pervasive victim-blaming rhetoric surrounding violence against women and intimate partner violence, IPV. In feminist solidarity, we, represented by Feminists in Kenya, Usikimie, and Zamara Foundation, call on all Kenyan women, allies, civil society organizations, and government leaders to join us in a united front on January 27th, 2024 at Jivanji Gardens from 10 a.m. And it's going to be a Saturday. Hashtag Total Shutdown Kenya again. So tupatane Jivanji 27th, asubuhi na mapema 10 a.m. Make sure mmekula breakfast. We have to make this point clear. We need to be heard. Lazima tuongeze volume. So tupatane Jivanji 27th January, 10 a.m. I think to close this off, I think I'll just read out the comments zenye I said I'm a Kenyan woman, and then we just end this because that call for 27th January was good enough. I'm a Kenyan woman. Of course, I have to share my live location when going for a date and the contacts of the person I'm going to meet. I'm a Kenyan woman. Of course, the men think I'm invalidating their rights when I advocate for women's rights. I'm a Kenyan woman. Of course, I have to count the number of men versus women in an elevator. I'm a Kenyan woman. Of course, I have to change my favorite routine to make sure I'm not being followed. Nakwambia nilikuwa na relate na hizi comments. Mimi there, I think I think these comments were like the light bulb moment for me, and I was like, oh my God, we need to talk about this. Anyway, I'm a Kenyan woman. Of course, men think mimi size yao. Mi chukia hiyo stuff. My Lord. Those catcalls. Anaweza kimbia hadi. This one says, period. I'm a Kenyan woman, and of course, I have to go to the bathroom with my friends. And there were so many more. Anyway, the point is concise. Stop killing women.